The Forgotten Garden. The young botanist, Clara, always had a fascination with plants. Her love for nature led her to the old, abandoned mansion at the edge of town one spring afternoon. Clara had heard rumors about the mansion. It was said to be cursed, with whispers of ghosts and tragedy. Yet, her curiosity overruled any fear she might have had. Wandering through the dense woods behind the mansion, Clara stumbled upon an ancient, wrought iron gate covered in ivy. It creaked open, revealing a hidden, overgrown garden. The garden was a tangled mess of wildflowers, towering hedges, and forgotten statues. Despite the neglect, there was a haunting beauty to it that captivated Clara. Clara decided then and there to restore the garden. She began by clearing away the thick underbrush and trimming the wild hedges, unveiling pathways and hidden corners. Each day after her university classes, Clara returned to the garden. She uncovered an old stone bench, a dilapidated greenhouse, and a dry, cracked fountain in the center. Among the weeds, Clara found the remains of a rosebush, its roots intertwined with an iron plaque. The inscription read, "For my beloved, forever." Intrigued, Clara spent her evenings researching the mansion's history. She discovered that it once belonged to the van der Linde family, renowned for their botanical pursuits. The van der Linde family had disappeared mysteriously a century ago. Locals spoke of a tragic love affair and a gruesome murder, but details were scarce and contradictory. One rainy afternoon, Clara unearthed a leather-bound journal beneath the rosebush. It was fragile, its pages yellowed with age, but the writing inside was still legible. The journal belonged to Eliza van der Linde, the eldest daughter of the family. Clara's heart raced as she read Eliza's accounts of life at the mansion and her love for a gardener. Eliza wrote of her secret romance with James, the gardener's son. They spent stolen moments in the garden, their love blossoming among the flowers and vines. The journal entries became darker. Eliza described her father's disapproval and his threats to separate them. Tension grew, casting a shadow over their hidden paradise. One entry mentioned a masked ball, where Eliza planned to elope with James. The night was supposed to be their escape, but the final pages were stained and unreadable. Clara was determined to uncover the truth. She continued restoring the garden, hoping to find more clues. She felt a strange presence, as if someone was always watching her. Late one evening, as Clara was trimming a hedge, she noticed a figure standing by the gate. It disappeared when she called out, leaving her unsettled but undeterred. Among the old tools in the greenhouse, Clara found a rusted key. It fit perfectly into a small, locked chest hidden beneath the greenhouse's rotting floorboards. Inside the chest, Clara found a faded photograph of Eliza and James, their faces full of hope and love. There were also letters, filled with passionate declarations and plans. One letter revealed that James had been falsely accused of theft by Eliza's father. He was driven away, leaving Eliza heartbroken and desperate. Eliza's final letter to James was never sent. In it, she begged for his return, promising they would find a way to be together. Her words were filled with sorrow and longing. Clara felt a pang of sadness for Eliza and James. She could sense their pain and hope intertwined with the garden's history. She vowed to restore it in their memory. The next day, Clara met an elderly woman named Mrs. Hargrove, who lived nearby. She was one of the last living people who remembered the van der Linde family. Mrs. Hargrove shared stories of the family's grandeur and the mysterious events leading to their disappearance. She mentioned a hidden cellar beneath the mansion. Guided by Mrs. Hargrove's tales, Clara explored the mansion. She found a trapdoor in the kitchen, leading to a dusty, cobweb-filled cellar, untouched for decades. In the cellar, Clara discovered an old, wooden chest marked with the van der Linde crest. Inside were more journals, detailing the family's final days. The journals revealed a plot by Eliza's father to marry her off to a wealthy suitor. When she refused, he grew violent, his rage tearing the family apart. Clara's heart ached as she read Eliza's last entries. They were filled with fear and despair, hinting at a terrible event that culminated in the garden. Clara continued her work, feeling closer to Eliza and James with each passing day. The garden began to flourish, its beauty slowly returning under her care. One evening, while planting new roses, Clara found a hidden compartment in the fountain. Inside was a blood-stained locket, engraved with the initials EVL. Clara was horrified and fascinated. She took the locket to Mrs. Hargrove, who identified it as Eliza's. It was a piece of the puzzle that was both tragic and revealing. Mrs. Hargrove told Clara about the night of the masked ball. Eliza's father had discovered their plan and confronted them in the garden, leading to a deadly struggle. Clara learned that James was killed in the fight, and Eliza, heartbroken, vanished soon after. Her father claimed it was an accident, but rumors of murder spread. As Clara pieced together the story, she felt a growing connection to Eliza. She wanted to bring peace to the garden and to the souls who had suffered there. Clara's research revealed that Eliza's father had died shortly after the incident, leaving the mansion abandoned. It was as if the garden had been cursed ever since. Clara continued to feel watched, especially at dusk. She often saw shadows flitting among the trees, and heard whispers in the wind, but she was not afraid. Determined to uncover every secret, Clara dug deeper. She found a hidden passage leading from the garden to the mansion, used by Eliza and James for their trysts. The passage was filled with old, decaying love letters and mementos. It was a secret world, frozen in time, bearing witness to their forbidden love. Clara restored the passage, preserving the letters and artifacts. She felt she was giving voice to Eliza and James, allowing their story to finally be heard. One stormy night, Clara was awakened by a noise outside. She grabbed a lantern and went to the garden, where she saw the shadowy figure again by the fountain. This time, Clara approached the figure. It was a man, old and frail, his eyes filled with sorrow. He introduced himself as the grandson of James, seeking closure. The man, Samuel, had heard stories from his father about the garden and its secrets. He had been watching Clara, hoping she could help uncover the truth. Clara and Samuel worked together, sharing their findings. They realized that Eliza had been buried in the garden, her grave hidden beneath the oldest rosebush. With Mrs. Hargrove's help, they carefully exhumed the site. They found Eliza's remains and her final journal, which revealed the true events of that fateful night. Eliza's father had killed James in a fit of rage. Eliza, in despair, took her own life, wanting to be close to her beloved forever. Her father hid the truth. The garden had become their sanctuary and their tomb. Clara and Samuel decided to give them a proper burial, uniting them in death as they could not be in life. They held a small ceremony, with Mrs. Hargrove and a few locals attending. The garden, now restored, was a place of beauty and remembrance, no longer shrouded in mystery. Clara planted new roses on their graves, ensuring their love would continue to bloom. The garden felt peaceful, as if the spirits of Eliza and James were finally at rest. News of the garden's restoration spread. People came to visit, drawn by its beauty and the poignant love story that had once been lost to time. Clara felt a sense of accomplishment. She had not only restored a garden but also honored the memories of those who had lived and loved there. Samuel thanked Clara for her dedication. They became close friends, bonded by their shared quest and the garden's legacy. Together, they maintained the garden's beauty. Clara continued her studies, inspired by the garden's history. She wrote a book about Eliza and James, sharing their tragic story with the world. The mansion and garden became a historical site, drawing visitors and scholars alike. Clara often gave tours, recounting the tale of love and loss with reverence. The garden flourished, each season bringing new blooms and visitors. It stood as a testament to the enduring power of love and the importance of remembering the past. Clara found joy in her work, knowing she had brought peace to restless spirits and beauty to a forgotten place. The garden was a living memory, cherished by all. The once overgrown paths were now lined with vibrant flowers. Statues stood proudly, and the fountain bubbled with fresh water, a symbol of renewal and hope. Clara's efforts had transformed the garden into a haven of tranquility and reflection. It was a place where history and nature intertwined, telling a timeless story. Every visit to the garden reminded Clara of the lessons she had learned.